Hey Kate, thank you so much for coming in. I had a blast. I think we figured out that shoulder. I do. So what's happening is that left shoulder is really just it's telling a different story than the right shoulder. It's quite a bit weaker. I think we can both agree it's been pretty undertrained for presumably ever. And then now you're throwing a lot more reps, a lot more high level strength at it, and it's just not ready for the party. So we got to get it ready. The good news is it's not terribly inflamed. I think if we would have caught this, 6 months from now, it could have had the potential to needing a lot of rest and recovery before we kind of get into the rehab side. I think it's ready to go right now, which is great. I'm going to recommend a little bit of ice after practice, probably just for the next couple weeks, just to be safe. If it gets to be sore like it was a week ago, maybe get back to some anti-inflammatories. And then taping is always an option if you want to do that for practice. I'm never going to say no to that. I think taping is a great option. It just didn't seem like today you're quite needing it, but obviously we'll see how the next few weeks go. But the main beef, what we're going to do is how to kind of re-strengthen that left shoulder, just the parts that are missing, which is really the back of the shoulder. Little bit of stretching, a little bit of tightness in that shoulder. And then the last exercise is going to be mostly just for kind of resiliency in that shoulder to get it a little more battle ready, if you will, because we know the right shoulder is, and you're obviously trust that one a lot more than the left one. So I have 4 moves for you. Don't care how often you do these. Again, in theory, if it's comfortable to do, you can do these very often throughout the day, as many times a day as you want, but make sure each set that you're kind of doing it to failure, right? I want that muscle to be dog tired at the end of each round of these. And then, if you need any, you can always throw this into, I don't care if this is pre-practice, post-practice, just kind of mix it out throughout the day. My hope is after doing these for about a week or so, you're going to realize maybe a couple of them are great, maybe a couple of them you don't need as much anymore, and we can kind of start to change this this plan a little bit as we go. So let me know how that feels in about a week, all right? So first one, I think the biggest deficit that we saw, the biggest one where the left one just was so much weaker than the right, was this rotation on the knee. So anywhere between 5 and 10 pounds. Honestly, I think with this one, I think 8 was kind of what we ended with, ended up being a good number. So if you can find anything close to an 8, let's start with that. The goal is, again, you're resting on the knee, nice controlled descent down. You're gonna get a little ouchy down the bottom just because your shoulders this is tough on this muscle here. It's not gonna love being down there. But again, that's why we don't use a ton of weight. We're not trying to beat it up. We're just trying to get it used to it. So nice and slow and steady reps. Nothing here is quick. And you're just gonna notice this left one is going to fatigue fast. When you get to that point of fatigue, I want your last rep to be, I can't get it back to the top without heaving it or helping or having to cheat, all right? So the last rep might look, there's one, and then I'm getting close. I can't quite do it. That's it. We don't need a second set. We don't need to hit that again right away, but in a few hours, you can always hit it again. If I were you, I would probably, for most of these, just to make sure you're getting the technique right, go ahead and do the right arm as well. It's not going to give us any harm to go ahead and do the right arm with these. If anything, I like it because you'll just know what normal feels like, right? And you'll see how much weaker that left one feels. The second one, again, this one's probably going to be more like 5 pounds. We did this laying on your side, straight arm, straight elbow, and then doing this lift off here. So again, we're working the back of the shoulder, back of the rotator cuff. Again, if you want it to be really hard, you can kind of stop here at about 90. Again, I have no problem with doing full range of motion or kind of doing some half reps. That's fine, as long as we're getting some challenge there in the back of the shoulder. And again, I think you will find that the left arm quite a bit weaker than the right arm. The day that you can do the same amount of reps and the same amount of weight with your left arm that you can your right, you're done. But I think we got a few weeks of doing this until that's going to be the case, just because I think it's been weaker for years and not just weeks. So those are my 2 favorite strength moves for you. For stretching, we did on the wall here, I want you to 90 degrees with your elbow. And then remember the difference here. We're not going to lean forward That's just a chest stretch, a pec stretch. I want you leaning downward, thinking about nose to the floor. That rotation should feel really tight. Again, if you do the right arm versus left arm, that left arm is just going to feel tight. I don't want it to be painful. I just want it to be quite a bit tighter than the right one. So again, nose to floor, hold for maybe 10 to 20 seconds. I'm not going to get too picky on that. There's really no wrong answer here. The idea is you're just trying to get that left arm getting back to you being in that position. I don't think it's been in that position for a long time. So just hanging out. You can do some little mini reps. Or heck, like I say, anytime you walk through a doorway, walk into the restroom, walk into the kitchen, go ahead and just knock one of these out for 10 seconds. And if you just do that a little bit frequently throughout the day, I think it'll get quite a bit stronger. Or excuse me, more flexible on that one. So that one's a little less, whenever we're doing stretching, it's a little less important to be counting reps and sets and all that. Just get there and get out. And then the last one we came up with was we're trying to talk about something a little more cheer specific. We're trying to be a little more, I mean, I know when you're overhead, any weakness deficit we have is just going to be exponentially greater because you don't get the help from all the other muscles, right? The shoulder's out here alone, and that rotator cuff is the only thing stabilizing that shoulder. So if it's weak, you are in trouble. That's why when you're lifting weight overhead, you try to kind of arch your back and let your chest take over, all right? But if you're doing it right here with your head tucked, it was quite hard. So I want about roughly 15 pounds. I want you to play around with numbers here. Anywhere between probably 12 to 25 pounds you can probably end up training for. Let's just get this thing overhead. First thing I want you to do is just hold it up for time. 20 seconds, 30 seconds, kind of up to you. Work on, making sure that you feel comfortable with, tucking the chin, rolling the shoulders a little bit, a little side to side. Just making sure your shoulder feels strong and confident. If you feel wobbly and like you're going to drop this weight, we just got to work on just holding it up for time. But once you feel like you can hold it up for time, that's when I liked you doing maybe some lunges. You can alternate legs, kind of get used to it. The idea is you want this arm staying straight and retracted in the safe move. You don't want it out in front of you because that's when it's going to wobble and shake, right? So everything's retracted into a good posture, and we're just working on lower half is doing something, upper half is staying nice and quiet. All right, a little more advanced. Remember we talked about that squat. That's some hard stuff on that rotator cuff because it's having to stabilize while it's not getting any help from the trunk. Whew, good workout. So don't beat that one up too much. That might be one a little more, maybe just even once or twice a day. You're just trying to regain that trust. Again, that's going to be really challenging until these ones on the knee get a lot better. So don't beat that one up too much. The ones on the knee and the ones side lying like this, and then that stretch on the door. I think that's what kind of really the good first phase to get this left shoulder caught back up like the right shoulder. Last thing I have is using the left shoulder more just throughout the day. Like we talked about, carrying backpacks, opening doors, driving left-handed, cleaning, get some chores going, right? Left-handed, walk the dogs left-handed. Little things where you would normally just be so right dominant and you wouldn't even give it a second thought. I just think your left arm is kind of begging for a little bit of help. Now, people that don't play high-level sports, that don't lift heavy weights, that don't throw people in the air, they could have this left to right deficit and they never see it, and it never bugs them, and it never pops up, and never becomes an issue. Unfortunately, you are probably going to be lifting weight or people over your head for the next 4 years, 7 years if you keep going. And so we got to build that resiliency now. So left shoulder needs to become just as dominant as the right shoulder, and it's a big task. It's a big task. Again, I'm not worried about it all happening today. I think as long as we are pointing in the right direction, you're going to be fine. But just know this isn't just hey, I'm going to do these for a week and be done. I think because you are right-hand dominant, your left shoulder is always going to need just a little extra TLC. And I think we might find this might transfer over to the legs as well. We might need to build up that left leg a little bit more than that right leg, and there's some moves we can try for that down the road. But right now, let's do some rotation on the knee. Again, a few times a day, 1 set to failure. Sideline, big sweeping arcs. Again, about 5 to 8 pounds in your hand with that one. 1 set to failure, a couple times a day if you want. Stretching in the doorway at a rotation, bringing that nose to the floor, and then holding some weight over your head and doing other things. Walking laps, mini squats and lunges, head turns and shoulder rolls. Just getting used to that arm being over your head with weight and stable. Don't try to be gung-ho and do it all at once, and then we get sore, and then we have to start icing and kind of work our way back. Again, I want you going to bed each night thinking, I worked my shoulder, I gave it good work, it got stronger, but I didn't piss it off. We're not trying to go too much too soon, because again, these are small muscles, they get irritated quickly. If you do this impingement test, and that gets ouchy again, then do the light stuff, but maybe not too much not too aggressive, and that might be again a need for ice. The fact that we were able to end our day today and not have arcing pain and not have impingement pain and be able to go across without much issue, I think you should be able to rehab this without beating it up. It's a fine line. It's a fine line, but we'll be good. Less is more. How about that? So if you got any questions, please reach out. That's why we're here. And I will see you hopefully in a couple weeks, 3 weeks. When you guys get back from your trip, let's do another one to check your strength, check your overhead hold, and then maybe like I say, then I'm hoping we can come up with a plan that is a little bit easier to do kind of, through the school year. That's going to be a little more bilateral work to kind of just get everything back. So, all right, I talk too much. I'm sorry. Good seeing you. Take care. Bye.